So this is the Algo IQ program tools and beautiful sell-off. Not at all surprised. This is a follow-up video from my morning live trading analysis video where I was talking about I saw rotation happening in the markets right here. I said frequently that leads to short-term tops. Saw rotation where basically I was seeing the Dow skyrocketing out of the open, the ES being pretty strong, or S&P 500 pretty strong out of the open, but the NASDAQ was sideways a bit and then came into some selling. Not sure what that garbage was, but probably institutionals holding it up with one type of instrument, like futures buying on pullbacks. Well, they're distributing, going, hey, this is going to go down. We need to unwind some. So that's usually we're going to park it here and distribute before we really get out of the way. And then whooshka, we come down and blow out all of yesterday's rally. I blipped out as we were pushing below the lower bands. And that's a very significant linear price movement with a lot of momentum. And I can always see that by how narrow the bandwidth is on the super bands indicator. That is a pretty strong linear excursion outside of the bands. That's a very reactive price. So what I want to show here real quick, so let's go over here. Let's move that over a bit. So here was yesterday's rally, and this is a very important point that I want to make. We've had two significant rallies in the last 24 hours. So let's go and do some drawing on here. This rally from the U.S. cash session going forward, every signal long. So the momentum burst signals kept you long all day long. It did not have you fighting the rally. Then pre-market, we had a sell signal. I mentioned in the prior video, I put a little liquidity in the market. Then right out of the open, I added some, and I've been holding runners. But every single signal, overnight session, out of the U.S. cash session open, and sequential signals, every signal has been stay short, and now I got the payoff from the runners to end a really good day. So I just had a feeling, even though it was lifting, that a lot of people are probably trying to buy in here. I wasn't. I was just holding my runner short, had my stop move down to my cost basis. If it came up, hey, no big deal. I'll wait for a new setup. So from basically the U.S. cash session open throughout the main part of the trade day, 4 long signals, they were right. Today from overnight session, and you can even discount that. We'll say from U.S. cash session going forward, 3 short signals, all right. So even when markets are nasty, grindy chop, there's still hints there as to what the institutional activity is. And the institutional activity is all about when these bursts of momentum come in and the way they come in and the way that we're looking to see them in the momentum burst signals, the square signals. We had one here. There was definitely some institutional sell side started hitting. And there's been a couple bursts since then. And then the main one, bingo. So 1, 2, 3, 4 signals right today, where every signal, whatever the most recent price pivot from the signal point going forward, price never came back up. Here's the most recent price pivot before that signal, never came up. Here's the most recent price pivot from that signal. So the signals all kept you in alignment with the trend to be in that day, yesterday. All 4, that was 4 signals yesterday. All 3 signals from the open going forward kept you in the right direction today. And now, if you haven't made money yet on the rest of the day, you should be done. I mean, this market is probably going to junk around trying to find some support, maybe get some buyers to come in, try to salvage this thing, later part of the day. But that was a move that, once institutional side, mainly the investment banks, turn off their distribution process, they let it run because they're not in there holding the market in the area of price, or they're running these distribution process. They're like, okay, as soon as we're done, holding market up, maybe as they're buying futures, some options, they're selling out of tech stocks. They're unwinding more and more high flyers or stuff that they've been holding that's deep in the money. So if they know the market's going to pull back, they can see the amount of hedge fund and fund level selling increasing. They can only hang on to it for so long as they hurry up and distribute out of more of their stocks if they also feel this is going to be a shorter, longer term top. So definitely so I just sat there, waited patiently. I think on this pivot, after this signal, I had my stop from cost basis down just a little bit to break even plus, and it kept lifting, but I just sat and waited, and then there we go. The distribution process ended, and whoosh, they weren't buyers anymore, and the sell pressure finally not having any challenge to it. Down we go, come outside of the bands, getting a bounce right away, and so on. So now we're going to see how many of the new directional sellers on the day get pushed out. You got some that are going to want to hold. Like they're like, hey, this move nice. I want to hold this trade for a multi-day hold. To see if we trade lower. So that'll be a little bit of battle today, where the institutional side might try to push and get those that are trying to hold portions of their positions for longer term plays to get them to cover out. But at any point, if we're going to start getting some structural selling, any little rallies that come in will start getting sold into over and over again. So I'm not saying, oh, this is the short-term top and we're not going to come back up. I'm just saying the patterns that I called out right away out of the open this morning, and then seeing this action again, is the type of patterns you'll see a lot of times. You'll see rotation before you see the market structurally shift its direction. But the key, mom signals 4-0 yesterday, mom signals 3-0 today. So just trade the setups with a bracketed entry, meaning you have a stop, deep target, let the trades play out. Let's go take a look at the other chart setting that I was showing before, the quick scalping chart, or one way of setting up a quick scalping chart. We had the big rally yesterday, sideways overnight, selling out of the open, junk fest for a long time in here. But, even somebody playing dots to dots, coming into the open, you had a few dots. Let's say you decide to sell it. You're going to stay in a red dot till you get a green dot. Okay. Get a green dot, you buy. Man, made a little bit. You're in green, it's lifting. Then you get a red dot. So then you sell again. You blip out. So we'll go last dot before the U.S. cash session open. First green dot. First red dot. So you were a buyer, then you had to be a seller. So you made a little bit here, lost a little bit there, and then whooshka should have for sure gotten over daily goal. And we just got a green dot on a very crisp transition. So pretty easy, trade day there. Not a lot of thinking. Follow the dots. So even when it's junked out and going sideways, whether it's the overnight session or during U.S. cash session period, with these type of setups, you're not getting a lot of flips back and forth when you optimize things properly like I've done here. And when you start seeing a lot of dots too, sometimes that's just a good way of saying, hey, the market is in a junk range here. Just stay out and engage when you get a more clear move, or you at least get to some key level, then trade a reaction off key level. And just to wrap up, for more information and access, www.gridalgo.com. You get this with the Algo IQ program, you get our private community, get the super bands indicator. That's my 7th evolution of these non-repainting, no recalculating adaptive price bands. So when I'm on live feed or replay feed, what you see is what really happened. Every new line segment is a fixed plot on both sets of bands. They never recalculate when in live feed or replay conditions. You get the AIQ bands. I have them very responsive. You can use them and set them up more like this. And I have the AIQ1 indicator, and we also give the AIQ3 bars, and we also include an AIQ MomStrat fully automated strategy to scalp these momentum signals if you want to trade fully automated. And the last thing is all of our tools have all kinds of outputs. They're like wide open. So you can take any third-party tools, grab outputs from our signals, from this, from that, band positioning, reporting, and set up whatever kind of customized automated you want using our indicators and the outputs from our indicators through your third-party tools to build your own algorithmic sequencing of events to trigger automation and stop in-trade management and so on. Our stuff's wide open to use as outputs for that kind of work. Okay, if you have any questions, info@gridalgo.com, but that was a very nice trade day. I hung in there with my runners, and I had a fair amount of runners on. And on one of my accounts, I held them, and that one did good. So my other base accounts, I did over daily goal and just shut it down. Pretty much as it was busting down in this area, I was already over daily goal with my normal position size. This account, I ran higher position size because I had some liquidity in, and I added some, a kind of pretty decent size, because I thought if anything, we'll have some sort of a pullback maybe before we go up. If buyers are just going to keep buying this damn thing forever and ever and ever, and on any little pullback starts going sideways, I'll blip out some of that extra position size, which I did. And then I got more signals to the downside, which was like, yeah, I'm staying short. And then I got the big linear price movement after that distribution zone kind of finished that process out. Okay, there you have it. Info@gridalgo.com again for any questions. And the Algo IQ program tools here. We have them on NinjaTrader and Quantower. Have a great day.